2022 North American Trials Championship was held at the Bentonville Bike Fest this year on June 18th. I've had a nagging tendon injury in my left arm, so I haven't really been able to ride a whole lot on my trials bike lately, so I decided to go to the Bentonville Bike Fest not to ride, but to vlog it. I didn't attend Bentonville Bike Fest last year, so I don't really have any comparison, but there were nearly 40 riders competing this year from North America alone. That's a pretty good turnout for a trials competition in North America. Due to the number of riders, the competition was separated into two separate heats. The first heat included the beginners, the sport or intermediate class, and the expert class, as well as the UCI Women. The UCI Women rode the expert lines. There were also two additional classes. One was the veteran class, which was ages 40 and above, who rode the sport lines, and then there was the master class, which was ages 35 and above. They rode the expert lines. In the afternoon, the elite riders rode, and that included the North American riders as well as the UCI elite riders who rode it just for fun. There'll be a separate video on them later. There were so many different riders and so much going on at once, I just couldn't get every single rider. There are a number of riders in this competition that I'd already known for a while. Some I had met recently, others I met at the event. There were still others that I never got to meet at all, unfortunately. I struggled with the best way to organize this video and which order to present the riders. What I decided on at the end was to start with the riders I knew the best and kind of work on down the line. Okay, that's enough of me yammering on. Let's go watch some trials riding. We'll start with Mike Steidley. Mike has earned the title of U.S. National Champion over a dozen times, so he's a pretty damn good rider. Like me, he's from Connecticut, so we frequently have him join us in our group rides, which is pretty cool. If you've watched any of my group ride edits, there's a good chance you've probably seen Mike ride.
And you can learn a lot from riders like Jeremy McGee. Especially Esther's, which is the main trail, one of the predominant trails over at Kohler Mountain Bike Reserve, accessible to adaptive riders. So Jeremy has a brand that he brought over from Europe.
Next up is Aaron Lutze. Aaron's certainly no stranger to the trial scene. He used to compete a lot back in the day, but this is his first trials competition in about a decade. Since my arm was injured, I'd been on the fence about coming out to Bentonville for a while. Aaron's the one who finally gave me enough encouragement to get my butt out there and to video it. Interestingly though, I'd never actually met Aaron in person, only online, so this was the first time I actually got to meet him face to face. Aaron's a super nice guy and really cool to hang with. Several of us stayed at an Airbnb out in Bentonville, and Aaron was one of those guys. You can find Aaron on YouTube at Super Rider TV. He also streams live on Twitch at Super Rider TV. Aaron has a lot of really cool ideas about promoting trials, so stay tuned to his channel for more.
His bar is twisted, facing the wrong way.
That's not good. Oh, good lord, yeah.
There, wedge it in there, twist it. Now give it a hard twist. There you go, now you're back. And you're 2 minutes. Dude, that was crazy.
Freddie Estrada drove to Bentonville from Madison, Wisconsin. He's also the one who set up the Airbnb for several of us that stayed out there. Freddie's been riding trials for quite a while and competed in the expert class this year. He created the USA Bike Trials Riders group on Facebook, and previously that's the only way that I'd interacted with him. It was really awesome to meet Freddie in person out in Bentonville. Since I didn't have a car out in Bentonville, I usually caught a ride with Freddie to and from the event grounds every day. Freddie's a great guy, so I really enjoyed spending time with him while I was in Bentonville. Anders Burdick drove out to Bentonville from Durango, Colorado. He's another one of the riders that was staying with us at the Airbnb. Anders was riding Trials before he even knew Trials was actually a thing. He's an avid mountain biker. Anders built his Trials bike himself out of bamboo. You can see it also has some repairs made out of carbon fiber. It's a pretty cool bike. I'd never met Anders before, either online or in person, so I was glad to be able to meet him out on this trip. I met David Crute at the Arrowhead Bike Farm at the Trials competition he co-hosted out there in May of this year. Last year, David took third place in the sport class at Bentonville. This year, he competed in the expert class. David drove out to Bentonville from West Virginia with his friend John, who took the liberty of getting Hans Ray's autograph on David's helmet. I'm pretty sure David won't mind. I'm looking forward to riding with David again at future competitions. I met Jen Everhard and Jason Dish at the Arrowhead Bike Farm's Trials competition this past May. These two are avid mountain bikers who drove halfway across the country to the Bentonville Bike Fest for the past couple years. They're both relatively new to Trials, but you can see their bike control skills. While they're certainly no strangers to biking, it's fun seeing their enthusiasm as they learn Trials. Owen Fields has been riding moto trials since he was a toddler. I also met him at the Arrowhead Bike Farm Trials competition in May. He has amazing bike control skills, so I'm really looking forward to seeing his progress throughout the years. This little dude can ride.
Yeah, you have to go in between the two tags. All right.
It's fun. It's fun. And it's
we have got all sorts.
I've ridden with Jamali at a couple of different competitions back east, so it was a nice surprise to see him out here in Bentonville. Unfortunately, during this competition, I only got video of Jamali riding in one section. And unfortunately, it probably wasn't his best section of the competition. I met Chaba during a group ride at Narragansett, Rhode Island in June of 2021. He and Mike Steidley were finding all kinds of good lines to ride through all those rocks. Looking back through my YouTube archives, I see that was one of the first group ride videos that I actually filmed. If you haven't watched that video, definitely go check it out.
Nice, yeah. 15 seconds left for that one. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
The first time I met Carson Wilson was at the 2019 North American Trials Championship out in Exeter, Rhode Island. Carson's a talented rider, but he's also got a really fun sense of humor.
I forgot to take his hand. Of course I'm all right. Let me just... I'm good. Five everything, then clean everything. Until like I'm...
Judges are ready.
25 seconds.
Clock ready for you minutes. Please get up out of Wisconsin. Anthony Schneiderwind.
Nice. Right on.
straight from the Netherlands, a world champion riding for Specialized. Ready. So bring it up for that. It's fantastic.
How much time? How many? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Prior to this year's Bentonville Bike Fest, I'd only interacted with John Bradford online. In fact, I didn't even realize he lived in Arkansas, right near Bentonville. John does a lot of mountain biking, but only fairly recently did he start trials biking. John competed in the sport class this year, but in the group ride after the event, he was doing some pedal ups onto some pretty high obstacles compared to those in the sport class lines. This year I've actually been able to meet a number of trials riders that I'd only met online before, and John is one of those. So John, it was a pleasure to meet you, man. Doug Farrar and his two sons, Sean and Ian, all competed. Not only did they all drive out from Colorado, but they brought a trailer full of trials bikes for other people to try over in the practice area. Since most cities don't have a trials bike shop nearby, I thought this was a really cool idea and a great way to expose people to trials that might not otherwise give it a shot. Doug competed in the veteran class this year, and both his sons competed in the elite category. We'll see them later. I met Ryan for the first time in Bentonville. We only chatted briefly, but he mentioned he might have an upcoming trip out to the Northeast, and we might be able to connect for a bike ride. That would be really cool, man. I met Alex very briefly before the competition. I didn't really get a chance to chat with him much, but apparently he and Aaron Lutze used to ride together out in San Francisco when Aaron was living out there. I like Alex's riding style, very smooth and efficient. Josh is another rider I met just before the competition. He's a beginner rider, and I believe this was his first competition. While it's exciting to watch the elite riders, it's also very encouraging to see new riders try the competitions. Jason is another rider that I met at the competition. Well, actually I met him at the group ride after the competition, and unfortunately this is the only clip I got of him riding. According to Jason's Instagram profile, he's actually been riding trials since 1993.
We just got one more guy.
Several street trials riders also entered the competition, including Nathaniel, Henry, Peter, and YouTuber Coy White. These guys all rode the expert class during the competition. Street trials bikes don't quite have the reach that comp bikes do, but make no mistake, these guys are really good riders.
Out of Hammond, Louisiana, give it for Mr. Terry Adams. Terry Adams, 1 minute. 1 minute.
All right, at that point.
That is time for Terry Adams out of Hammond, Louisiana.
A handful of competitors showed up on mountain bikes to ride the expert sections. Like the street trials bikes, they struggled on some of the lines, but I wish I got to watch more of these guys. They had some pretty good moves.
Legal drinking age.
Also hit by the Red Bull canopies or shake and drag up the thing out of their kit to keep it alive, all the flavors, and salary round. So
While I'd certainly heard of unicycle trials before, I never expected to see somebody compete in the North American Trials Championship on a unicycle. Aaron's another rider from the Bentonville, Arkansas area. He competed in the sport class this year and actually got a pretty respectable score. With a number of riders competing, I just didn't get a chance to meet everybody, and I probably didn't get everybody on video either. However, I wanted to showcase as many different riders as I could from different ages and skill levels. Here are some highlights from some of the other riders.
Workshop, so they'll be heading on back from Cole right around 3 o'clock. 2:30.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, Jared.
Along with all the other riders, from beginner through the expert category, we also had 2 women that were UCI riders, Vera Baron and Debbie Studer. Because the UCI Women rode the same time as the other North American riders, excluding the elite class, I was only able to get a few clips. Needless to say, they made the expert sections look easy.
Beautiful thing. And I think this afternoon you guys are getting treated to some. Showing up, a slew of their athletes are here at the Bike Fest as well. So swing by the exhibition area, you can go visit Bell.
30 seconds.
For the North American elite riders, we'll start with Jeff Anderson from Canada. Jeff has earned the title of North American Trials champion several times. Unfortunately, I realize now that I spent too much time taking video of the UCI riders who are riding the courses just for fun, and not enough time focusing on Jeff and the other elite North American riders. I guess that's a lesson I've learned for next year. Woo!
Yeah, James.
The Farrar brothers, Sean and Ian, drove out from Colorado with their family. If I understand it correctly, this is the first time these guys are riding in a competition at the elite level. These guys are still pretty young, so it's going to be interesting to see what their riding looks like in just a few years. 4 elite riders from North America in this competition, so Matt Meyer rounds out the bunch. I was impressed by Matt's riding at the North American Trials Championship in 2019 out in Rhode Island, so it was good to see him riding again. Matt had a pretty hard fall early in the competition. I'm sure he was pretty sore as he finished the rest of the sections. After a long day in the hot, hot sun and drinking several gallons of water, it was time for the awards ceremony.
Coming medal in check. Coming their way, and Vera Barron from Spain, current world champion on top of the box. Give it up for these ladies. They had a live stream. It was a mad event, UCI, presented by Cliff Bar. These are your novice trials. Jen Everhard, come on up, Jen. Third place, Jen Everhard. Second place, Philip Isaacs and Jason Deesh. Let's go to sport trials. In third place, Alan Shirley. Second place, Grant Nimmer. And your winner today, sport trials, Owen Fields. Come on up, Owen. Nice work today. Presented by Cliff Farm. What a tough course out there. All right, let's move on to veterans, 40 plus. Jason Cutler. Come on, Jason, third place today. Second place, Doug White. Your winner, Doug Farrar, on top box here. Excellent. Give it up for your veterans, 40 plus. These guys have been doing trials for a while. They still have posters of Hans Ray on their wall. For expert trials men. Come on, Alex Chow, come on up in third place. Chava in second. And Felix Bellinger. All right, hands up in the air. You guys got to interview that. There you go. How about your Masters Trials C1 presented by Cliff Bar, Aaron Lutze? How about Carson Wilson? And your winner, Mike Steidley. Okay, these are your Masters for C1 UAT championships here.
Thank you.
All right, how about your elite men? Ian Farrar, come on up in third. Sean Farrar, tough second right there. And your winner, elite men. C1 Trials, Jeff Anderson. Keeping the sport alive.
Following the awards ceremony, we got to witness Jack Carthy break a world record. Fortunately, the festivities finished just in time. The skies were looking pretty threatening, and before long they opened up. And just like that, competition day was over.